Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about The Twilight Zone, Season 3, Episode 26. It's called Little Girl Lost. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And this episode has a very simple premise, where a little girl simply disappears from her bedroom, despite the fact that she can still be heard calling for her parents. And as the episode progresses, they realise that she has went through what can only be described as a portal to another dimension that has appeared under the bed at the wall. And the parents, along with the friend who comes over, try to figure out the rules to this and if they can get her back. That's it. That's the premise. We'll get into it. So, Tara, what did you think of Little Girl Lost?
I love this episode. I remembered it once I started watching it, from like watching it as a kid and being scared by it. I think sure, like it's dated, but I think it's effectively creepy. I think it's really cool. I like the drawing of the door and stuff for the other dimension. Why they call their physicist friends when their daughter is missing, I don't know. Whatever. But I like this episode.
I'm frustrated by this episode because I really like it up until a point, and then it kind of the problems start to mount up as we go further, to the point where I wasn't really satisfied with the back chunk of it and how it tried to answer things. I felt like the physicist character believes things so quickly and starts making all sorts of wild guesses that are just completely right, that I'm just like, whoa. Because the simple idea of there's just a mysterious thing that's taking the daughter in the bedroom, that's wonderful.
He's super smart. We can't understand the way his mind works. That's why he gets everything right. He's a physicist. Or
even more to the point, or even if you want to buy all the shit that he's just jumping to immediately, before anything else, he doesn't offer any suggestions as to here's something else that may have happened to her before we jump to there's a portal to another dimension under the bed.
That's the only explanation. Well, that's what you get when you bring a physicist to find your lost daughter.
But not only that, though, I think what bothered me more is that when he starts suggesting some really specific things and he starts to talk about it like he really knows what he's talking about, the parents barely even put up a suggestion or a fight or ask any questions to wait, why would this be a thing? Why is this happening?
Hey, he's an expert. Why would they question it?
This is theoretical. This is all theoretical.
But it was all right.
I like the mood.
Right every time.
I like the mood. I like the atmosphere at the start. And I like up until the drawing of the portal and sort of okay, where are the boundaries of where this portal is? Where is this happening? It's the wall. Okay, the arm goes through the wall, so we're going to draw where the boundaries are. Up until that, because it was sort of okay, let's just figure out what the rules of this thing are based on what we can see, what we can prove, and what that is. But after that, once the physicists started talking about the rules and how would we perceive a fourth dimension, what is and he started talking about the third dimension has lines, and then the fourth dimension lines would not necessarily be parallel to those lines. So,
yeah, they could intersect at some point, like in the daughter's room. Yeah.
Yeah, that
science, man.
No, this is where it got a little bit too. He seems to just know too many things, and is saying things that just are basically right. And honestly, I'm going to say it. I think it was a mistake to show the other dimension.
No.
I think it's a mistake. I was okay with the close up of the hand when the hand goes through to try and reach out to the daughter. I thought, okay, that's just one little tease to sort of give us a hint. I thought once they actually went to the other dimension and all it was to show that perception was different is that
the camera was spinning.
The camera's at an angle and kind of skewed, and that's it. it's nothing. I'm no. This was the sort of thing when I had to imagine it, the idea that this was a world that we couldn't comprehend because everything just was different because it was 4 dimensions instead of 3. That's the point. It's incomprehensible. The second they tried to put any of that into a shot, it just And that's it. Well, it's lost its mystique. Now it's just
it's a rotating stage.
It's an effect. It's just an effect.
It's got lots of fog. there's like a, you know, that Chicago bean where it's like a big funhouse mirror in the shape of a bean. Like it looks kind of like that, but that's what the reflections are. I like it. It's extra, like, yeah, it's super cheesy and so dated, but I really was into it. Plus it reminded me of when I watched it as a kid.
This is the thing, though. Before that, though, it was just provoking my imagination, and I couldn't comprehend it. So it made it feel very...
It's definitely scarier before you see it.
It definitely made it feel otherworldly. It made it feel like something that I couldn't possibly comprehend, and it had the qualities of, say, something like, I don't know, like a primer or something like that, where they're talking about what's going on, and obviously that's a different kind of example, because it sort of goes further into kind of like using it. But the idea of like this force that they've kind of tapped into, they don't quite understand, or even pick something else. But it gave me those kind of vibes of trying to explain things. But partly because it's a 25-minute episode, maybe the scientist just has to like jump to wild conclusions so super quickly. But the biggest mistake by far for me is showing and having the dad go in. I mean, I'm not necessarily against him going in, but showing me it. Don't show me him in there. Don't show me his perspective.
But then if you didn't, you would have it from the perspective of the physicist, who would just still be explaining everything that's happening in real slow cadence.
Well, the smarter ways to do it, though. The only reason why you're making that joke and saying that's what we'd see is because that's what they've been doing for 10 minutes at that point.
Yeah.
There's ways to have it off camera and have the dialogue be smart and have it progress at a natural crescendo to just keep provoking our imagination. And just like I say, that one tease of the hand and just getting a glimpse that this isn't, like, there's something weird about this other world. That's just a small slice just to, again, prod at you and make you think about what it is. But once it's that full shot and all it is a skewed camera, I don't give a shit. This looks shit. This is terrible. You've taken all the mystique out of it. You've taken all the mystique and you've given me a guy surrounded by a fog machine with a camera at a tilt.
Okay, I get it, but I like it still. I think this is the type of episode that you think about when you think of the Twilight Zone. Like, someone's actually in another dimension. Everything's weird. Like, okay, it's our world, but something's happened that's a bit off. Like, this is the perfect example of a Twilight Zone episode to me.
But it's not that good, though.
But it is good. I like it.
No, it's poorly written.
I think it's creepy. I think it's kind of goofy and endearing. And, you know, Rod Serling talks about Chesterfield cigarettes. Like, it's the perfect episode.
No. No, it takes all the mystique is gone. It takes everything it builds up, and then it kind of draws things out, and then it just ruins it all by showing me it, and absolutely nothing about it is interesting anymore.
Well, this one's making my list for the top.
Oh my god. I'm trying to explain why I think it kind of fumbles the back half, because
oh yeah, okay, but like, whenever we have this type of thing and we get to see what's on the other side of the door, has it ever worked for you? Like, does it work in Poltergeist? Does it work in Beetlejuice?
First of all, Beetlejuice is a bad movie. Secondly, Poltergeist is an overrated movie. So I suppose...
What about this particular thing in Poltergeist, though? Because clearly this was an inspiration for that film. We know Spielberg was a fan of Twilight Zone.
I don't remember what it looked like in Poltergeist, to be honest.
It's just like white.
Yeah, it probably didn't work. I can't remember.
It looked like the Matrix. Welcome to the desert of the real scene.
No, it probably didn't. It's not to say that it can't be done with the right, like, but you have to have something special to show me. You have to have some sort of like cool visual or something. And like, I know it sounds like I'm being harsh because it's a TV show from the 1960s. There's a limit to what it can do, but that's the good thing about science fiction and horror, is that sometimes you can do so much with nothing, and you can provoke imagination.
Imagination can be much more effective.
One of the favorite things we've ever talked about on the Ace was coherence from the last like decade, and all it is people talking about ideas. Primer is mostly just people talking about the theories of what they're doing, but it naturally builds. And that's part of the fun. This has that for like half the episode. I mean, admittedly, he does jump to like there's a portal under the bed a little bit quickly, but I'll forgive that because it's a 25-minute TV episode. But I was into it for about half of the episode or so. Once he starts trying to over-explain what a fourth dimension is, because I did like the stuff where they were hearing her voice in different parts of the house, and they started kind of rounding around trying to like follow where she was going to. If anything, the only problem with that is that the idea that the fourth dimension works differently, so she might still be in the exact same place. It's just that there's a fourth dimension. She's not necessarily moving in three-dimensional space. So
she's working through two different multiverses, right? Because she's in the crossroads, the cross section of the dimensions. So she's still kind of in ours, and she's kind of in the fourth.
I mean, two universes? You said two multiverses.
Yeah, I don't know. Two universes.
Two multiverses makes this a lot more complicated. No, because like when it comes to stories like this, they have to figure out, okay, there's fundamental rules that we can establish based on where this thing is and what it is. And one of the things he says is that, you know, like people, it wouldn't be perceptible to us, so things move around differently. The spaces work differently. So if anything, the problem at this point is that it's a little bit of a cheat that for so long she sounded like she was still in the bedroom. Because if it really does work that differently, then her voice should have been bouncing around just as much from the start. It had a lot of promise. There was a lot of potential in this episode, but I think it completely drops the ball in everything that it kind of tries to set up. But by the end, I was just kind of uninterested in what it was doing.
I thought it was fun. I liked I thought it was spooky, and I liked in the beginning, and then when we get to see the other dimension, I thought they did like real clever ways, but obviously it's super dated and it's not as effective as the first part, but it was still pretty fun and endearing, and you know, I was rooting for the dad and the dog to make it, the little girl, whatever. I could take or leave it. I think it's the only thing that I don't really love about the episode, honestly, is that the girl was played by a clearly older woman who was trying to mimic a little girl's voice because they don't want to trust a child actress to read the lines. That was distracting.
Well, next time on Twilight Zone, we have Person or Persons Unknown. The description on IMDb reads as follows. David Gurney wakes up to another ordinary day, except today nobody knows who he is. And that was basically what Serling said at the end as well, is that he wakes up in a world that he recognizes, and he recognizes everything in it and everyone in it, but no one knows who he is. So, interesting. I mean, this is the sort of premise you hear and you immediately go, well, is he switched realities? Which is funny because it would kind of tie it to this episode. Or is this a thing where he's dead? Or everyone else is dead? Or something?
Sounds kind of like It's a Wonderful Life to me.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit of that. And for once, that's a movie that predates this, so we can't say that it was inspired by Twilight Zone, which we normally do. Mm-hmm. So, curious. We'll see. Also, insert obvious joke here about where did the little girl go? Well, clearly the alien groomer from last episode's been collecting some more. That's the real answer.
He needs another queen.
Yeah. Well, he lives for thousands of years, so the other one must have got old and died. Needs another one.
Gross.
She got old. She hit her mid-30s, and he's like, you know what? It's time for a new model.
Gross.
Yeah.
Did you get the Chesterfield cigarette ad?
Yes.
The smooth taste of 21 blends of tobacco. Yes. Always go unfiltered.
I mean, I don't really pay attention. Once he starts now, I just kind of zone it out, and then.
I'm just not used to hearing them, so it's real special when Ron when Ron does it.
I just look at my Twitter or whatever. But hey, there you go. That is the Twilight Zone episode. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. That does help us out a lot. Ding the bell as well if you want notifications. All of that does help with promoting the channel and the show and getting out to more people on YouTube. But you can also support us financially, can't you, Tara?
That's right. If you enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/ManifestTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month, you'll get access to bonus episodes for shows we do. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to these Twilight Zone reviews 1 week early. and some other shows you get a day early. So thank you.
Yeah, get us on Twitter as well at @mail_fuzz for channel updates, but otherwise that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. Keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.